Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another Atomic Age episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 271, recorded Sunday, June 14th, 2020. Tonight we're going to be talking about a movie called The Vast of Night from 2020. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's your boy, A-Robot. It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday, Stains. What's up? Happy birthday, guy.
Stain. Hey, thanks, man. Birthday Stains, the sweetest stains of all.
Rob, you're a crusty old bish these days, huh?
Totally. And you're a young, nubile
I know.
child.
Yep, so young.
Fresh from the womb. Still covered in afterbirth.
Pretty much.
Well, it is a pleasure to be celebrating my birthday with you here digitally, talking about another horror movie. And it is with great honor and privilege that I welcome Michael from Horrorpocalypse Podcast onto the show for the very first time. Welcome, Michael. What's going on, man?
Hey, it's going good. It's going good. Thank you for taking a step down and having me on the show. I appreciate that.
We consider ourselves elevated because you're here. This is elevated podcasting, all right? And we're talking about an elevated horror movie tonight.
I can't wait to talk about this. Oh, this this has to be revenge for something. I just don't know what yet.
Man, not everybody's trying to get you, Michael. I swear. You can't think this way. This victim mentality. You can't have it. Before we get into it, though, I wanted to give you a moment to let everybody know where they can find your spooky doings, Michael.
Well, we have actually increased. We're doing our Facebook Live feed, kind of like what we're doing now, but we Facebook Live it on our Horrorpocalypse Facebook page. We do it every Thursday around 8 or 9 o'clock. We launch that on Monday. Then we also have 3 episodes that I've started doing since I've gotten re-addicted to Shudder. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I launch an episode called New on Shudder, and it's I take something that they've just released on Shudder, where I do a quick 5-minute review on that and put that out there as well.
Nice, man. Yeah, I've been seeing those pop up every week. You're doing the work. You're doing the Lord's work, covering all that shit.
The Dark Lord's work.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool. Well, yeah, before you get into the main event, let's cover some housekeeping real quick. Just another reminder, the July poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this July. The theme for July is aquatic horror. The 3 movies to vote between are going to be Anaconda, Dagon, and Jaws.
Bob?
Juice.
How those numbers looking?
Let me tell you, Jaws is currently beating Anaconda by a single vote. they're pretty neck and neck.
My Anaconda don't want none unless you got Jaws, son.
Wait. Where's my Dagon?
Yeah, Dagon's
oh man, I'm sure Dagon is so close. Is that correct, Bob?
No, it's way on back there. Not many.
Dagon.
Dagon. Unless you got Jaws, that still makes sense. Oh, man. So, yeah, make sure you get your votes in before the end of June, and maybe we'll be talking about Anaconda, or maybe we'll be talking about Jaws. We'll see. We have not one, not two, but three brand new Patreon supporters. We got to give mad shouts outs to.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Mom, this is not a pump I possess.
Oh, that's fine. Well, we will still salute, and then I'll make sure that the bump makes it into the show proper.
I can do it audio wise if you want.
Just like with your mouth. Slap my ass.
That's the best one.
That'll work. That'll do just fine, actually. But big thanks to Max C, Jonathan K, and Kelvin C for signing up on Patreon and supporting us. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show, and we greatly appreciate it. And as is tradition around these parts, we owe all three of you a straight chilling salute. So here we go.
Slap my ass. Slap me in the ass. Slap my ass.
Hold on! Slap me in the eye!
Oh God! Slap me in the eye!
You know?
Oh, I forgot that one. Yeah.
I think that's my favorite one.
Oh God! Slap
Oh God! It's like raring to go.
You can't get slapped in the ass quick enough, man. Get
Oh, Elzebub, we need to have him featured more. That guy cracks me up.
That guy, he's hilarious. Juice, do you have any YouTube or Twitch news?
No new YouTube videos today or this week. However, I did want to give a friendly reminder just because they've started to come in. I know we mentioned it when the design first got released, but we do have a new shirt available for you to purchase. It is a half star for the Yabos shirt. So if you like to give half stars for your Yabos and your horror movies, like Shaboy. If you got a code, if a man's got a code, then you can purchase this half star for the Yabo shirt. It is on our TeePublic page. You can reach that by going to straightchillingpodcast.com. On there is a link to all of our merch. We have, we're building up quite the catalog of merch these days.
Yeah.
But the newest one is the half star for the Yabos. You can get it on a baby onesie. You can get on a sweet hoodie, stickers, mugs. Yeah, whatever you want. Throw pillows.
Yeah, you can get a big flag.
Legit.
You can get like a wall hang.
Dude, man's got a code.
Like a huge
I pledge
wall
allegiance to the Yabos. Yeah.
The only flag I salute has 1 half star on it.
Yeah, for the Yabos.
For the Yabos. Cool. Yeah. The only other thing we got to mention is just big thanks to everybody that was hanging out with us this past Friday for the Joe Bob live watch, even though those movies were pretty whack. Holy shit.
I heard picks were rough. Everybody's bitching about it.
Kind of rough, man.
Hashtag boycott Dick Bibbs. Am I right?
Hogzilla should have stayed lost, I think.
Hogzilla.
Yeah. But we got 2 more weeks of the Joe Bob live watch party. If you want to join us on Friday at 9 p.m. EST, we post a link to join our watch party over on Zoom just before showtime on all of our social media platforms. So keep an eye out for that if you'd like to join. And that's it. That's all we got for housekeeping. Cool. Let's go ahead and jump into the main event and kick it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, what's on the back of the box?
We're talking about a movie called The Vast of Night from 2020. This little baby right here is over on Amazon Prime. So as far as I know, that's the only place you can find it, actually. It's a Prime.
Not in Korea.
Oh, really?
Shaboy had to get a black market.
Black market. Totally.
On the darkest webs.
Totally. So yeah, this movie here was directed by Andrew Patterson. Stars Sierra McCormick, Jake Horowitz, a few other folks, mainly those two. The plot synopsis is as follows. In the twilight of the 1950s, on one fateful night in New Mexico, young switchboard operator Faye and charismatic radio DJ Everett discover a strange audio frequency that could change their small town and the future forever. Gentlemen, have you seen this before? Would you recommend people check it out? Michael, why don't you kick us off, man?
No, I didn't even know this movie existed until Soju reached out to me on it. And I watched it immediately. regretted it. Watched it 2 more times to kind of prep for this. Wow. I've seen it 3 times total, and personally, no, I would not recommend it.
All right, 3 times.
Now,
impressive.
Let me correct that. I always recommend people see a show or see a movie, formulate your own opinion. But it's not one that I'm going to tell you. I recommend you go see it. So, but yes, if you want to see it. Just don't blame me.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. Blame us. Juice. What about you?
Yeah. Wash your hands of it. You're clean. I had never seen this before. It's like a newer movie. I think it maybe came out. I don't know. Did it just come out, Bob?
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple months ago.
I want to say a couple weeks ago. It's fairly fresh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I had never seen it. Bob gave me a couple options to choose from based on trailers. One was Swaller, and I didn't want to watch that one. And
I'm going to talk about that later.
Yeah, I picked this one, and I kind of dug it, honestly. It starts off with like a Twilight Zone kind of intro, like a spoof on that a little bit, and it kind of feels like that in a way. It's got some, as far as horror goes, it's like alien based, I guess, but it's got a cool aesthetic because it's based in the 50s, and I guess they really try to capture on that kind of like idea of like a old school alien, old school like Twilight Zone kind of feel. And I dug it. I dug the aesthetic, and I thought the acting was really solid in this movie. It does have problems, but overall I thought it was a cool little new movie. I don't know what this guy else like. I don't know what else this director's done, but I was like, let me check this out.
I don't think he's done anything. I think this was one of his
might be the first. Yeah.
This is his only credit. He wrote it too. Wrote and directed it.
Okay.
But he didn't use his real name. I mean,
oh, really? His name's not Andrew Patterson?
Montague is what he went by.
Ah, weird.
Huh. Interesting. Anyways, I'd never seen this before this week. Yeah, it's all right. It's got problems.
I thought you said I picked it and you were like, I've seen it.
Yeah, well, I kind of half watched it previously.
Oh, misleading me.
But yeah, this movie is not like airtight or anything, but I think it's good enough that it warrants a watch, especially if you already have Amazon Prime. It's a pretty cool story. It's got some really cool atmosphere, I think, is my favorite part. The production design's really nice. The acting is decent. There's some holes. There's some loosey-goosey stuff going on. There's some like general spooky atmosphere, and it's pretty fun. It's alien-ish, but it's really more about these main 2 characters and them trying to sort of detect what is going on in their city, trying to put the puzzle pieces together and figure out what is in the sky. But yeah, a pretty fun little tale. I'd recommend it. Yeah, it's worth watching. But we're going to drop that spoiler warning real quick and get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
All right. I didn't type up my full synopsis.
Bob, you didn't do your type up? Oh my God, you've been spoiling us.
I know. I was running a little behind today with birthday celebrations.
No excuses.
No excuses. But yeah, I can try.
All right, I'll bail your ass out, I guess.
Thank you so much. Juice.
I'll pick up the slack. Randy's gone. I got to pick up his slack. Bob's getting older. His mind is, getting weaker. He's forgetting things.
Getting weaker.
I would like to remind you too that I'm the oldest one here.
It's time for the young buck to step up and carry the load. Throw you guys on my back.
Carry my weight.
All right. The synopsis is actually, let's do a group synopsis. Let's talk about. So it starts off with a kind of like a spoof on the Twilight Zone. It kind of zooms in to this old school television sets. And then it's
entirely too long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was just like playing like you're watching an episode of like
Paradox
They don't
Theater.
call it the Twilight. Paradox Theater or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just like keeps zooming into the TV. That zoom is super slow. It really does. Like they need to pick that up a little bit. And a couple things in this movie feel like that. This movie really takes its time to do some things, and some things it's doing well, but it still tries my patience sometimes. I'm like, okay, like even though this is pretty good, like you really need to like step it up. Like, come on, something's got to happen or something. But essentially, it starts off, it's in the 50s, and you are going to this high school game. I think maybe a basketball
Yeah, it's a
game.
basketball game.
And so you kind of meet the characters of Everett and Faye. They live in this small town in America. And
New Mexico.
Is it in New Mexico? Okay.
Yeah.
And they just start off at the game at first, and there's like a lot of dialogue. It's really just kind of setting up the characters and the setting, I think, and just the feel of everything, which they do a good job of. This almost, it kind of makes sense that this is this guy's first movie, because he's almost like flexing in the first 20 minutes. It's kind of how I saw this like setup. Is because the dialogue and the way that the actors deliver the dialogue, like the old timey kind of talk and everything, and just setting up these characters and some of the shots they do these kind of like long, like following shots and things like that, kind of navigating through the school and everything. It just felt like this guy just kind of showed up on the scene and was like, look at what I can do. Almost. I don't know. Because it took a while. And towards like the back half of it, I was really like, okay, we need to move on from here, because this is impressive, but like I'm losing my patience. Like you need to take me somewhere.
Develop the story, please.
Yeah, because it's just a lot of banter, like between Everett and Faye. I don't know exactly how old Everett is. He works at the local radio station, but he's also helping out at the school, like helping them set up their audio equipment to film the game and stuff like that. And then Faye kind of looks up to him. She might be in high school, but she's got her own little like tape recorder. She's asking him how it works. And they go on this walk through the parking lot where they're interviewing people going to the game and just like playing around, just really like character development, making you kind of care about these characters a little bit and see how they interact together, which was really good. I thought just like their chemistry as like actor and actress together. I thought that worked really well and kind of set you up, because they're essentially the two that you follow through the whole story. There's not a lot of characters in this movie. They're pretty much the two that you stick with. Oh, she also works as a switchboard operator for like the phones or whatever, for the town, I guess. I don't know how those old timey phones work. She's got to like switch them out. But essentially what happens is she picks up this signal coming through the switchboards, and she feeds it to him while he's on to Everett while he's running his radio station. He plays it over the air, and they kind of like ask like, oh, does anybody know like what this is, what's going on? And that kind of kicks off this whole movie, which is essentially they're in this small rural town and like aliens are showing up, and like, oh, maybe they've been there for a long time, maybe they show up frequently. They interview some people in the town, they go kind of chasing after these aliens. And that's kind of what this movie is about.
Yeah.
Essentially.
People claim to see something in the sky. They're trying to figure out what that is. They're hearing spooky stories from people who have encountered aliens in the past, allegedly. The stories... So the stories are probably my favorite part. Like the dude that calls in on the radio and tells his story about how he was in the military, and then the older woman that they interview shortly after that... tells her experience. Those are probably my two favorite scenes of the movie. But yeah, this whole movie is just like thick with dialogue. The actors speak in a sort of antiquated tone, and it's incredibly fast paced. And it seems very unnecessary to me. I don't know why that is. Like, it's not like in the 50s people just spoke, 50 words a second or something like that. I don't really know why he made that choice exactly. It seems strange to me. Also, the way that these characters sort of like run from like point to point in the city is a little like goofy and unrealistic, I guess. The way that they just constantly run, and they don't like explain what the other one is doing or like have a dialogue like, hey, we should go here for this express reason. One of them just like takes off and like yells back at the other one like, this is what I'm doing, and just like hauls ass. It's just chaotic and strange choices. Specifically after they're riding with that couple from Culver City, and they sort of get under the trance of whatever language has been recorded on that tape. Yeah. And they almost wreck the car, but then they're fine. And then, Everett and Faye get out of the back seat of the car, and they just bolt off into the middle of the woods, like inexplicably. And then they just like hang out.
Not inexplicably. I didn't have any problems with any of that. What you're talking about them running off.
I kind of did.
Yeah, I felt like Faye was just trying to get as far away from that car as possible, and that's why she kind of took off in the woods.
Yeah, I thought it was I agree. I thought it was like a reaction to what the terrible thing they just experienced.
Yeah, maybe so. I didn't read it that way. I just was sort of confused, I guess. Like they almost got in a wreck, but then they didn't. They were fine, and then just run out into the middle of the woods in the middle of the night when you know that there's like spooky shit going on. It just didn't make a lot of sense, I guess.
I don't know. They almost just got in a wreck because people were entranced by a alien language, and then like were staring up into the sky, and like a blue beam kind of like was surrounding the area. I think that's like, I'd probably get out of there too. I'd be like, all right, peace out, because they didn't seem real close to them.
No, yeah, they didn't. They were basically strangers. I had another question about that tape though. So like the language, the alien language, like where did they get that recording from? Because I know they had interviewed the lady and she gave permission to record her interview, but it
was when they were walking into the house. So he turned it on as they were coming into the house. And before they even entered the room that she's in, she is speaking this language.
Gotcha.
And so it was the beginning before they start her interview.
I didn't know he was recording at that time. Okay. I missed that.
Yeah.
Part. That makes sense.
I'm curious, Michael, you don't seem to be a fan of this movie. And what were some of the problems that you had initially coming into this movie that you hadn't seen before, you didn't really know much about?
Pretty much exactly the same thing that you mentioned. A lot of these long sweeping shots. The one where Faye kind of steps away from the switchboard at one point, and as a 16-year-old lights a cigarette, which I had problems with that to start with. But she lights a cigarette. The camera comes out of the room, follows down the road, cuts across the little empty field, through the parking lot, into the basketball court, through the audience, out the back window, down through the street. As I'm talking about it, it feels like it's longer and longer and longer. But I did love that particular scene. But there were a lot of those. And like when Billy calls in and they're talking, I enjoyed that conversation like you did, Rob, for about the first 4 or 5 minutes of it. Then there were scenes where it would like cut to black. It would cut to static image on the like it's screen, then back to black, then back to image. And that ended up, it was so disjointed and it took so long at that point in time. Same thing when they were talking with the old lady and she's telling him about, her son. At one point, last night, the third time I had seen it, last night I was watching it with my wife, and finally I couldn't help but yell at the screen, "This is why your son left. You talk too damn much." It was too long. A lot of these scenes, if you trimmed them down and just gave the pertinent information rather than try to deliver everything like a Gilmore Girls episode, this could have been like a 45-minute segment. It could have been an episode of Twilight Zone or Paradox Theater. It didn't need to be an almost 2-hour-long movie. But that was a lot of the issue I had with it.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Strange. Go ahead.
Some of the things I was there. Almost the one time where it pushed me to my patience, where I was like, okay, like I can't I'm like, move on, please. Where I was like begging it was that dialogue with the old woman in the house. And also I felt like that's where it broke a little bit. For the most part, I thought the dialogue and the storytelling was pretty on point, especially like the guy calls over the radio and they were doing some weird like visual cues, like you said, were like cut to black and everything. But what I liked about that was that it was almost like saying, like, especially for a movie, it was almost like a return to old school like storytelling, to where it was almost saying like, I can do this without the film medium, but this is a film. And I like that because I'm constantly saying like with these newer movies where they feel like they have to throw in like this really bad CGI, especially when they're lower budgets. And you're like, man, that almost kind of ruins the movie a lot. I like that this movie really kind of relied on some old school storytelling where it really like genuinely built tension. But with the old lady scene, it did build tension. But like her little spiel about like where she's speculating, this is what causes wars and this, I was like, okay. Like it really took me out of the box a little bit there. And also it just did go on too long. And also they built really great tension there and they couldn't really deliver on it, I guess. I understand why. But a lot of this is like, is the juice worth the squeeze at the end of the day? You're kind of wading through a lot of these stories and stuff. And I feel like they're delivered well. They're acted well. I thought the tension was built in a pretty great kind of way. But then ultimately, does it pay off? And like, not completely for me. I understand that because essentially, so I guess we could like give a little bit more synopsis. The beats, like, so the guy calls into the radio and he said he was part of the military and he kind of sets up this idea of aliens. Then people actually start showing up and saying like, we're seeing something in the sky because they got this recording from this guy that had died that they had set up on the radio, and they broadcast it out like almost calling the aliens. And so then when they do that, another lady calls in, they go to her house and she tells the story about how her son was abducted, and she has this language that her son would speak in his sleep and he never remembered speaking or whatever, but she gives that to them and then they use that to kind of like call the aliens or something.
Yeah,
I took it as when they got her on tape by accident. At the end, when she's done with her long ass spiel, and she goes to give them a piece of paper, and she says, tell this to anyone you see tonight. Show this to anyone you see tonight. They don't take that paper, and they kind of walk out. So I don't know if maybe that was the thing, but her whole having that conversation and speaking that language, they got. I want to think on accident. Because she was she called him in, she told him how to come in with the key under the pot and all that other stuff. So I think she kind of wanted to be caught, but I don't think she intended to be caught on tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Would you guys have taken that paper? I'd like to know.
I would like to, because that could have been the only interesting thing of this movie, and I would like to know what was on it.
Yeah. I assumed it was the words she was saying, but just written out. That's what I assumed. So, and that's kind of how they explain that away, because how that conversation ends is she really kind of sets this up and they're intrigued and they're giving her kind of the time of day. But then it ultimately comes down to like, maybe this old lady's like pulling our chain, or like we can't completely trust her. So at that point, they're like, well, we're going to peace out. She tries to give them a piece of paper. She wants to go with them because essentially her whole deal is like, they stole my son away. Nobody has ever believed me. And now I heard you on the radio talking. People are seeing this spaceship. I heard this guy's story. I believe it all. And I want to go and see my son. So, but then like she starts getting more frantic and desperate. And then they're like, okay, we need to like peace out. We need to get out of here. But then you still need a way to kind of bring that language into play, I guess. And so they had it on the tape recorder, which makes sense because they set that up at the beginning of the movie. Like, so I didn't feel like it was a jump in logic. Like, this girl is always carrying her tape recorder around or whatever. I know they used a different one, but they still kind of set this up at the beginning of the movie. Like, this is what these kids do. They're working with like audio technology. That's their hobby. So it felt natural to me. But they use that as a way, because then later they're riding in this car with these people and they play that. And it's the lady speaking the language. And her explanation was essentially anyone who falls under this trance of this language has been abducted or controlled by the aliens before. Like, they have influenced them in like some way before. And so the people they're riding in the car with become entranced. They look up into the sky. There's kind of like this glow kind of going on, and they almost wreck the car. And then they freak out and they're like, oh my God. So once they come out of the trance, because they stopped playing the tape recorder, then Faye and Everett like run into the woods and they see this big hole where like a ship has blown through the trees, essentially.
Yeah, the trees are like burnt.
Yeah, and then they get like scared and then they start running out to a field. They're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And then they run out to a field, and then that's when that's where there's like any kind of payoff, I guess, from this movie, is then there's a big alien ship. There's multiple. There's like a mothership.
Yeah.
And then like little ones.
Little baby ships.
And then like, kind of like a Independence Day style. But it's very old school looking. I like the aesthetic of this film. It sticks very much to that 50s alien kind of vibe. And it sucks them up and they're just gone. And that's the end of the movie.
We see the tape recorder laying in a pile of ash.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think they did get pulled up into the ship, or do you think they were just disintegrated?
I think they got taken, but yeah, I guess that's totally open for debate. Because what is the ash? Is it like ash from the burnt up trees? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a pretty big pile of ash.
That's a lot of ash.
That's true. Trees are big. Trees are pretty big. I don't know, man. It's a good question. I guess it's open-ended. It's up for debate. But according to the lady's story, like, they definitely abducted her son, and I guess you're sort of led to believe that this has been a common occurrence in this town, because she says they visited ever since she was a little girl. So maybe they've been taking people left and right. I like that they leave it kind of open-ended like that, though, and we don't see like grays walking around or anything like that.
Yeah. I think there's maybe because they weren't influenced by the aliens before, because they weren't entranced by the language.
Right, yeah.
So maybe they didn't have a connection with the aliens for whatever reason. They don't, they kind of leave it like mysterious. So maybe they were just being eliminated like as a threat.
They just blasted
it could go either way. Yeah. Started blasting.
just blast them.
Got my pieces. I started blasting.
Totally. I like some of the nuances of the stories that are told by Billy and this older lady. Like Billy, so I guess he was in the military at one point, and he was sent off to this random place he didn't know where, because they loaded him and a bunch of other soldiers up into a bus that was all blacked out, so they couldn't see where they were being taken. They're in the middle of the desert somewhere, like digging this huge hole and then like reinforcing it with concrete. And essentially what they were doing was building this huge like bunker to house what seems to be a UFO. And I guess after having worked around that UFO, he later explains that he came down with, I guess, I don't know if it was lung cancer or something. He said he was having a lot of difficulty breathing from just being around this craft that he wasn't sure what it was. And he says that it was damaged, like maybe it crash landed or something like that, and the government's trying to, keep it hush. I like some of the nuances.
He also said the signal that they're chasing, kind of this signal that's coming through the switchboard, and then they play it on the radio. And he was saying that anytime that ship was around, it fucked up with all like the radio stuff, and that's the sound that came out of it. That's why he calls in initially. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and then the older lady starts talking about this old rail line that ran through town that they finished, and there was a passenger train one day that just sort of came to a creeping halt, And when they investigated the train, all the passengers just were vanished. Nobody was on it at all. So it makes you think maybe they were all abducted. And then a couple days later, this random woman emerges from the desert, and I guess she was a passenger on the train. She hauled ass and wasn't taken, but she was so startled by whatever she saw that she was mute. She wouldn't speak to anybody, so nobody really knew what happened. But I guess she was taken in by this older lady's friend's family. I guess the dad was like a pastor, so he took her in, gave her like, shelter and food and all that stuff. And this older lady would hang out at this house all the time. And I guess this train woman would like say those words in her sleep, the same words that her son would say before he was abducted. And I guess one night the train lady woke up and like stole a horse and rode off in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. And that's how like this town folklore of the horse witch started, which I thought that was kind of funny. The old horse witch, the horse witch in New Mexico. Yeah, right. I'd watch it too. So I like the stories. They're pretty involved, and they're like fun campfire tales almost. And I like that sense about it. What else we got going on here? I kind of like, did you guys think Everett was a douche, or was that just me?
No,
I think
not
he's
really.
A typical high school kid, really. Like we know Faye is 16. She says that. Then I think he's actually still in school as well. I think a lot of this was stuff that they were doing after school or whatever. So I think he was in that 17 to 18 range, and it's kind of typical high school kid to me.
Yeah, you're probably right. He seemed kind of like a douchebag a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he gives Faye like maybe a little bit of a hard time, but she's also got that like younger sibling kind of vibe. She's always underfoot, chasing him around, kind of asking like airheaded ditzy questions sometimes. So anytime he maybe loses a little patience with her or whatever, I just chalked it up to that. Like that was their relationship.
Also, the 1950s, 1958, I think is when this took place. We had that whole women's rights thing going on, or as the textbooks then referred to it, trouble a coming. So I don't know. I kind of took that as she was kind of overstepping at that point as well. So at that point, men were very misogynistic. So
yeah, it's of the times, I guess.
Yeah.
Also,
like the vocabulary that was being used, it was of the times.
Yeah. I also liked at the beginning, whenever Faye first starts getting her tape recorder up and running, and Everett's just sort of like asking her questions because she's really into science apparently, and she talks about these articles from the science magazine that she subscribes to, and she starts describing all of these futuristic things that are being developed that should be available like in the 90s, in the future. And she talks about like smart cars and smartphones and smart streets and GPS and all these things that like totally exist today. And it's just cool hearing her describe what a smartphone is to Everett, and him saying, that doesn't make any sense. That's never going to exist.
Yeah, that would never be real.
That's stupid. And it cracked me up that as she's describing a smartphone, she's like, yeah, everybody will be assigned a number at birth, and you can call them on that number. And if your friend doesn't pick up, you'll know he's dead because he always has that shit on him. I thought that was pretty funny.
It was cool too because I liked it. She describes a couple of different scenarios, and some of it has to do with like tubes and shit. Like, we're gonna drive in tubes or whatever. But it really added to the like authentic feel of this movie because we kind of grew up with stuff where like you like the Jetsons and stuff like that. Like you kind of know where people like would think of the future. And so her describing some of the things that we do have this day, but in that kind of way, it made it feel authentic. It's like, oh yeah, they could kind of imagine it, but it sounds ridiculous in those kind of terms. I liked it, even though that's the thing though. This guy, I feel like if he wrote and directed this movie, a lot of the things that he did impressed me, but it feels like he needs to like rein it in a little bit. because that scene went on a long time. It's literally just two people walking down the street and he's asking her questions and she's describing like these futuristic things. And while I felt like it added to the authenticity of the timepiece and it made me interested in these characters and what they think and what they feel. And it was very much a like, I don't know. I found it curious, but at the same time I was like, okay, maybe one is enough. Like maybe we don't need all three. I think this guy just needs to kind of fine tune that a little bit. But overall, though, it intrigued me. And for the most part, I enjoyed that. But I did several times throughout this movie, I was like, okay, guy, you need to move it on. Like, it's time to go to the next step.
Yeah, maybe he just needs to thin the script out some, get rid of some fluff. And like really get down to brass tacks, and then if you did that, they wouldn't have to speak a mile a minute. They could just take your time. I like that scene though. It's kind of a nice touch. Her describing modern day shit in a bizarre way that sounds insane. There's not a whole lot of other characters going on in this movie, really. There's like a few adults that they interview first off, at the basketball game, which we don't see a whole heck of a lot of. There's the random couple from Culver City who drive in because they see some crazy shit in the sky. There's Faye's little sister, Maddie, the baby, who she kind of grabs halfway through the movie because her other sister, who's supposed to be babysitting, sort of skirts out on her responsibilities. So she's carrying around a baby for a little while. Also, so they would have, at the end of the movie, either abducted or blasted a baby, too, because they still had the baby with them. Which is pretty nuts. But yeah, that's kind of it though. This movie is really just these two characters and their interactions. And Did you
guys? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say it's kind of like a brother-sister relationship, but then do you get the feeling that Faye maybe is crushing on Everett? It's like hinted a little bit by other characters saying things, like, Everett's over. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Stop smiling.
Right.
Yeah, she's like, stop smiling.
Yeah, Everett seems it's a small town, so I think everybody knows everybody. But that intro scene where we're sort of introduced to Everett, like he's walking through the basketball arena and everybody knows him and everybody needs his fucking help in one way or another. Apparently, he's like a fucking whiz kid or some shit. Like they actually call him to fix a wiring issue. And he gets there, and then he also helps them out with their audio issues. And then he like steals this kid's trombone and hides it from him just to fuck with him, I guess. And then Faye asks him about her tape recorder and just like everybody needs this dude's fucking help. And he's like, teenager, but I guess he's like a whiz kid or something, something of the sort.
But he's also kind of like was it?
He didn't even fix their wiring because they couldn't decide whether it was Everett or Emmett that needed to do it.
Yeah, the older dude was like, I didn't want that guy. I wanted the other guy.
Yeah. He's also a smooth talker, though. Like, everybody seems to like him. He's a pretty charming guy or whatever. Like, he's not like a awkward whiz kid or whatever. He like is like very friendly with everybody and
very charismatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. There's not a whole lot more to touch on. I don't know.
Did you guys notice? I was curious. I just had this thought and I didn't notice it because I didn't think of it during the scene. But I'm curious. In the scene where they're in the car and they're playing the tape recorder and the two people in the front get hypnotized or whatever by the alien language, did anybody notice what happened to the baby? Because I'm curious, because the woman talks about how when her son was like a baby, it would talk in its sleep. Like at 10 months old, she was like, "What the fuck? Like it's talking, like in its sleep, this alien language." And I'm curious if the baby was hypnotized, because that would have been a cool touch.
Yeah,
like a subtle, like, oh shit, they like have been starting to abduct this baby or something.
I thought the baby went kind of quiet. I wasn't 100% sure. I figured maybe it was just, falling asleep or something because it was late at night. But yeah, I did think it was kind of weird. The baby went a little quiet.
Interesting. That would be cool to like just go back. I would be curious to go back and check out that scene in particular and see if it got hypnotized. I think like I don't know. I found this really intriguing, like, movie, but I keep going back to, like, was the juice worth the squeeze? Like, what happened at the end? I don't know. Maybe not quite, but I did for the most part enjoy the ride. But I'll save that for my review.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys really want to touch on? I don't know that I have any other major points I really want to bring up.
One thing that aggravated me, because when I watch a movie, I tend to watch the background a lot more than the foreground. And like one of the sweeping, that long sweeping scene when they go to the basketball game, if you watch a lot of the people in the background, like when they're going through the audience the audience outside the door before they get through the door into the court, a bunch of the little kids are actually watching the camera go by. If you look at some of the audience, even the players, you can see that one of the players kind of take a look at the camera. A lot of folks in that scene looked at the camera, and that helped pull me out of it as well. So,
damn extras.
Yeah.
Let's get it together, folks. Get it together.
Bunch of noobs.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, yeah, I think the biggest thing I liked about this movie was the aesthetic. The cars were all shiny and gorgeous 1950s cars. I mean, everything. I love that small town America kind of feel. I loved the look and feel of this movie.
Yeah,
just everything else didn't add up to it.
And even on top of that, the way that they chose, because the second lady they interview at her house face to face, but the first guy, what's his name, who calls in over the radio?
Billy,
yeah. When Billy calls in, I liked that they kept it on the radio, because in the same way that the cars add to the visual aesthetic, having this guy talk over this old school radio, and you're really invested in what he's saying, like you're really stopping and listening to him like very intently. But the sounds of just the old school radio, how it comes across or whatever, that added to like the audio authenticity to me, or it just like helped even more build this world. And that's what kind of really impressed me too. I was like, man, this guy is really invested in the atmosphere, almost like Eggers, not to that extent, but I mean, he really seemed concerned about the language being like really authentic, and the cars and the sound of the radios and stuff like that. And that's something I really appreciated.
Yeah, throughout the movie, though, when they do go back and forth, like they cut back to the TV screen, the way the movie starts a couple times.
Yeah.
Every time they do that, it takes me out, though. And it really bothers me.
It was dumb. Yeah.
The way that they make it look like an old timey TV is, it almost looks like they just slap a cheap filter over the footage or something. Like it doesn't look great. I wish they would have done that.
There too.
Yeah, the audio changes.
Like, and not even for a better, it felt like the first time we get that really slow push into the atomic style TV, it was fun. It was fun for the first time, even though it took way too long. That was fun. Then we get introduced to these characters, Everett and Faye, and we go through their whole little story intro there. Then when Faye goes to her job at the switchboard, we get that again. Suddenly we're in a TV screen, and it's all fuzzy, and she's talking, and the audio sounds like it's a Honeymooners episode for some reason. And then it takes way too long for that to dissipate and become, us back in the real time at that point. So I'm with you with that. It kind of, every time it happens, it took me out of it.
Yeah. Odd choice.
That was an odd choice. And the only thing I will say about his choice to even frame it that way, even from the beginning, which I was fine with, like to start with, like you guys said, is it would be cool. I wonder if this guy's trying to set himself up, or had the idea to set himself up to, like, every movie I do will kind of fall, like put himself in a niche almost, like, oh, every movie I do is going to be based off of this world he's creating. Like, he's creating his own universe where, like, everything's a television show and it's going to be set in different time periods or something like that. Like, maybe that's what he wanted to do. It was really dumb to pull himself out and then go back in and come back out. But that was the only thing I thought, like, hey, I was intrigued enough by this movie, and this guy did a good enough job to make this world that I would be intrigued if he was trying to create some kind of, like what was it called, Atomic Theater or whatever. Like if he actually tried to pull that off, I'm like, hey, that's an interesting little idea, and I would be down if they announced like a sequel, or not necessarily a sequel, but like a following piece, almost like how we talked about like Halloween 3 was supposed to be like this anthology of movies that surrounds this same kind of idea, but are completely detached. I was like, hey, I'd kind of be down for that.
Yeah, I'd definitely watch another one. Yeah, if it was like, a monster movie or something, but still same style, same concept, I guess, same vibe, I'd be down. I'd check it out.
Yeah.
This movie it's not perfect, but it's got some cool ideas, some cool stuff going on. And I think the dude's a pretty talented filmmaker. He, like you said, he definitely flexes, especially with that damn camera going buck wild. God. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's rate this bad boy. Let's do it. Out of 5. Juice, why don't you kick us off? How you feel about Vast tonight?
For the most part, I actually was intrigued and impressed by a lot of it. There were times with the slow pacing of things, and especially with the topic of this movie and the aesthetic he was trying to establish, I thought sometimes he was trying to maybe be a little too inspired by like 2001: A Space Odyssey, like how everything in that movie is so goddamn slow. But I thought, like maybe he's trying to pull from that in some kind of way. I feel like this guy has a lot of potential, and I feel like his craft just needs to be refined a little bit. I liked his world building. I liked his character development. Like, even though shit took a long time, it was most of the time in service of making you care about these characters and making them seem authentic and making them relate to each other in a very real way. And I thought he achieved that. There were times where it fell short toward the end of the interview with the old woman, where she starts spouting off about like where it was almost putting his message into the movie. Like, oh, aliens cause wars and they cause people to fight each other and stuff. I was like, I don't need that. Like it didn't feel authentic to everything else I had seen, where everybody else has their own kind of personality. It was almost like this woman is serving as like to give you the point of why the director made this movie or something. I was like, that didn't feel like a good choice. And then I ultimately don't think the juice was worth the squeeze. There's a lot of moments like that interview with the old lady where this guy is great at building tension. Like the tension was real. I was like, with the glow on her face, it was a dark room, and like she had this like glow of an old TV or maybe the light from the recorder or something, and like she's just kind of creepy and it like zooms in her. I was like, oh man, I'm like feeling tense here. But then nothing ever really comes of it, and nothing really happens throughout this movie until the very end. And even then you're like, oh, okay, like they're gone. and it was not completely satisfying. It was maybe a little intriguing or like, oh, but after all the time I had spent with these characters and like them chasing this thing, I feel like we almost didn't get enough of the chase or enough of I don't know, like where the tension actually kind of paid off, even though he did a great job at like building it. So overall, I like the aesthetic. I like a lot of the tension builds. I like the dialogue, even though it was pretty quick. I like some of the cool shots, even though they were really long. I don't like the TV in and out. And I did lose patience several times throughout this movie. But ultimately, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I would be intrigued to check out more from this guy. Sure.
All right. 3 from Juice. Michael, out of 5, how you feel?
All right. I'm going to take you on a little journey here.
Do it.
I'm at work. I get a text message, and it's Juice. And he's like, hey, would you like to join us for a movie? My heart races. I get excited. I said, yes. Ooh. All right. Definitely. And he's like, all right, Vast of Night, check it out. And, we'll set everything up. I said, fantastic. Immediately grab my phone, throw my Galaxy Bud in, prop it up on my computer, and I start watching it at work. A lot of the ways I'm hearing a lot of this, the plot is driven into me by text really quick. Lots of this, lots of that. Take it. And then I'm like, all right, no worries. I got to watch this again because I got to try and make sure I'm getting everything. And then I watch it a second time and I'm a little angry because it was exactly what I got the first time. And I'm like, well, I'll watch it with my wife. Maybe we can feed off each other and she'll pick things out that I'm not seeing and so on. Then about halfway through the movie, she got up and left. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to finish this out myself. And I found myself yelling at characters and, shouting at the screen and disturbing her. And I'm like, all right, this can't be. I looked into the movie. I did all kinds of investigative work and finding, how he wrote it under a different name and this, that, and the other, and how well it did at festivals. And I don't see it. I was angry through most of this movie because of the pacing. The characters I felt nothing for except for Faye. I thought she was fun. She was kind of relatable. She was cute in the way she did all her lines. When she comes running out at one point and Everett shows up with the car and she's like, "Did you steal a car? I stole a bike." I was like, that's cute. I loved it. It was fantastic. I like her. And that was the only thing in this movie that I liked. I liked the aliens at the end, kind of. I felt that they were almost too on the nose. They almost didn't quite fit. And I understand they're not supposed to. They're a technologically advanced species that are coming to us in a time where we're back asswards. But they just didn't seem like they fit in the story the way that they were presented to us. So all in all, I would probably, because I'm a glutton for punishment, obviously, by the movies I choose for you guys, I would probably watch another movie. I would probably even watch this one a fourth time just to see, but I would probably watch another movie from him. But I'm going in with zero expectations and a lot less excitement than I had going into this one. So out of 5 on this one, I'm going to give it a very, very hard to get there, but I'm going to give it a 2.
All right. Hard to get a 2.
Hard to get a 2.
Rough.
Yeah, I was leaning more towards the 1.5, 1 3/4, but I'm going to be generous and give it a 2.
All right. Kind words from Michael. What's up, man?
Out of 5, how are you feeling about Vast of Night?
Let me tell you. This movie, man, I think probably the biggest failure on this movie's part here is the main 2 characters. They seem like they have a lot of time together to really build a relationship for us to understand. Like we have like the first 30 minutes of this movie is basically just them talking, not like searching for alien shit, just like talking and engaging with one another. And I never really like buy into their friendship or potential like attraction to one another, or at least on Faye's part anyway. It doesn't like really feel grounded or rooted. And then when the stuff starts to kind of pop off and get a little bit spooky, with the exception of the very end of the movie where they're running from the car, they almost never seem like they're scared of anything at all. They're just sort of like curious. It just like nothing. The stakes seem very, very low, and these 2 characters seem like fairly detached from one another. Like I just don't really buy into the relationship, and those 2 things kind of like gut this movie a little bit for me. But even without it, it's still fairly enjoyable. There's the Faye and Everett sort of like poke fun at one another a little bit. The spooky stories that they encounter on their little adventure, their little journey, are pretty cool, like campfire type tales. And the set dressing and the set design is just like super awesome. He really does knock that out of the park. The camera might go a little too nuts, actually. He does some neat stuff with it, but it might be a little excessive. it's definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. And I think it definitely shows this dude's first movie. I think he has a lot of potential, could grow to make some really, really cool stuff later on down the line. Maybe revise that script one or two more times, get rid of some of that fluff, man. There's a lot of words. Michael, when you said they're delivering their lines like an episode of Gilmore Girls, you were exactly correct. That shit is so true, man.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one that watched Gilmore Girls.
Well, yeah, I was against
Losers.
I was forced into it. I don't get it, man. I'm gonna give it a 3.
That was before my time.
Oh, sweet baby Jane, fresh from the womb. I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. That's gonna put our aggregate at a 2.7 for The Vast of Night. Let's go ahead and jump over into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think.
Certified fresh to death.
All
Bob,
right.
you got this one, right?
Yeah, I got it. In Randy's absence, I'll go ahead and run the Rotten Tomatoes segment tonight. So if you're a new listener, at this point in the show, we play a little game where we go around the table, and I'm going to ask these two fine gentlemen to take their best guess at what first the critics rated this movie, and then we'll go around and do the same thing for the users. So out of 100%, Michael, I'll let the guests start. What do you think the critics rated The Vast of Night on Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, I know it did really well in a lot of film festivals, and it got a couple of, I think 2 or 3 Best at Fest kind of awards. So I'm assuming it did pretty well. The critics like it, but I'm hoping not. So I'm going to go kind of low, and I'm coming in at about a 75.
All right, 75 for Michael. Juice, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this might be more of a critic's kind of movie, but I don't think it's going to be higher than 75. So I will take the straight chillin' special. Please give me the 69, Bob.
Juice going with the 69. And unfortunately, the 69 is not going to get you there. It actually is it's sitting at a 92%.
Wow.
Michael takes that.
Shenanigans.
I know, man.
Wow.
It's got
certified fresh, huh? How many critics rated that? Can you see?
Yeah, it's 190 critics reviewed this, which is a decent
number. 92. That's
yeah.
way too high.
I agree. The critics' consensus says an engrossing sci-fi thriller that transcends its period trappings. The Vast of Night suggests great things for debuting director Andrew Patterson. I don't know, man. I mean, I kind of agree with the second half of that. I don't know that it really transcends its period trappings.
No, I don't think so. If anything, it's really just like paying respects to the old school stuff.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't bring anything new.
Yeah. Well, let's go around the table and we'll take a guess at what the users think of this. Juice, why don't you kick us off out of 100? What do you think?
I feel like the oozers are going to be less on this. Man, 92 though. That's nuts in the butts.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 70.
All right, 70. Michael, what do you think?
Again, I'm hoping there's people out there with taste. So it's probably not going to be that hot. How many users? Do you see that?
Yeah, 532 user ratings.
All right. And probably 4 of those views are me. I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go with 60.
Okay. Michael's going to take it again, man. You're pretty
sweeping
close.
the board.
This is sitting at a 62%. So almost nailed it.
Still too high. Still too high.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what Juice and I rated it. So, I mean, I get that. 92 is just like nuts. I don't get that at all.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, this movie doesn't suck, but damn, 92. Let me see. Damn, I'm gonna try and find a negative review to read like Randy does. Here's one from a critic. Lauren Coates says, unfortunately, the film is all beautiful shots and stunning sound design, but none of the magnetic character or intriguing story.
Yeah, agreed.
It's kind of worded poorly, but I agree. Yeah. Uh,
I could feel that.
I feel ya. Let's go. Let's jump over into our trivia segment.
It's totally time for trivia.
It's totally time for trivia. All right. So let's see if I can turn some of these into a little bit of a game. So the radio station call letters are WOTW. So can anyone guess that is a little bit of a nod to the science fiction realm? Can anybody guess what WOTW could stand for? Since I think maybe you know, I'm going to let Bob go first. Bob.
What those letters stand for?
WOTW, and it's kind of like a nod to like to this era and to the science fiction realm. WOTW.
I don't know, man. War of the Worlds.
Oh,
You got it.
Sweet.
War of the Worlds.
Nailed it.
Yeah, this might be difficult because I think Michael actually does his research like a good podcaster, talking about movies. But we'll still, yes, War of the World. So that's kind of cool. So this is interesting, though, and I'm going to bring this up because Michael has mentioned a couple times about his impression that it did well at some of the festivals. This is a piece of trivia, and of course, I don't do my research, so I am not sure how accurate this stuff is. But according to this trivia, it says that this film was rejected by the Sundance Film Festival, rejected by South by Southwest Film Festival.
Damn.
Tribeca, Directors Fortnight. Literally, there's a list of probably 20 to 30 film festivals that rejected this film. Durban International Film Festival, Athens International Film Festival, Hong Kong International Film. Now, some of this might be like, like Hong Kong, but Transylvania International Film Festival. So, but I don't know. Those first ones, Sundance, South by Southwest, Tribeca, those are a little surprising. So I'm curious who actually accepted this. But apparently it was doing well at whoever actually picked it up. But those, some of them were not about featuring this movie, which is interesting. I'm curious why.
That is surprising, man. This movie isn't that bad. For it to not get into Sundance is, Sundance plays like trauma movies and shit that Michael loves,
Proud of it.
That shit that Michael loves.
That shit. Cool. You got any other trivia?
The take with Faye. So we had talked about how long some of these shots are and stuff. So the take with Faye at the switchboard is 9 minutes, 40 seconds long. And it was cut down from an original 11-minute take.
Damn.
So, I mean, just this girl like sitting at the switchboard, switching things was almost like 10 minutes of this film cut down. This dude is like, man, he needs an editor to like help cut some of this stuff down. The name of the character Rennie, I don't know who that is. Do you guys know who the character Rennie is?
I don't remember Rennie.
Neither do I. But it says the name of the character Rennie is a reference to actor Michael Rennie, who played the alien Klaatu in The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. I don't know who that character was, though.
That was the robot that came out of the ship.
No, but in this film,
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. The gym and some exterior town scenes in the trailer were filmed in Whitney, Texas. Let's see. I think that's about it. They mentioned WTW again as an acronym for War of the World. Oh my God, I cannot speak. War of the Worlds. But no, that's about all the interesting trivia. Michael, you were doing a lot of research. Was there anything else interesting you came across?
Well, I did look up the awards for you real quick. It won the jury award at the 2019 Overlook Film Festival. It had a special cinematography award at the 2019 Hamptons International Film Festival. It was nominated for Best First Screenplay at the Independent Spirit Awards and Best International Feature Film at the 2019 Edinburgh International Film Festival as well. I did also, when I was looking through some information on this movie, I found an interview with the girl who played Faye. And she kind of talked about that scene where her at the switchboard, she would find herself just sitting and pretending to pull and plug in when she's in the hotel room at the end of shooting, just practicing how to do that really quick. And the same thing with the guy that played Everett. He had a tape deck set up and had those reels, and he would practice that over and over. I mean, that's a technology we don't use. We're not used to that. A lot of newer kids, probably kids around her age. I say kids, she's 20 something. But kids her age, they have no idea what that is. They've never had to use that before. So they were practicing to make sure that they could do it in the movie really quick. And they were doing it. They were practicing in their hotel rooms, which I thought was really cool. That's dedication to your craft. And I had a appreciation for them for doing that.
Yeah,
yes,
that was a cool scene. I forgot about where he was setting up all those different tapes and like searching through them to play. He did do that well.
Nice touch. Good trivia, Michael. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Take that, Sundance Film Festival. You sons of bitches.
It's all about that Overlook in New Orleans, son. That shit is tight.
Yeah.
That is tight.
Have you been there, Bob?
Yeah, I went a couple years ago. It's awesome.
Oh, okay. I was about to sash you.
Don't sass me. Get that shit out of here. You know what time it is, gentlemen's? It's time to go hunting.
Let's go hunting. Nope. So let's hunt some cooters. So what is a cooter, you may ask? Cooter is a character type prevalent in the horror genre, but not exclusive. They must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, and we are looking for the cooter of the week. So the 5 points of cooterdom are smug arrogance, sexual deviancy, manipulation, overall patheticness, and overall look/attire. So there are not a lot of characters in this film at all. Mostly Faye and Everett. But there's a few others. Does anybody hit on Cooter of the Week that you guys think? Any ideas?
Everett kind of ranks. I don't know that he's really an outright cooter, but I feel like he's definitely smug as hell.
Okay.
So he's got that. He's dressed appropriate for the time, so attire is kind of out the window, I think. He's not sexually deviant at all. He doesn't really seem to be manipulative, I guess. I mean, he takes that kid's trombone and hides it just to fuck with him. It seems like he could be manipulative if he wanted to be. We don't really see a lot of that in this movie, though. I'm just kind of projecting. Patheticness, he doesn't really seem pathetic, actually, at all. So he's I don't know. He's smug as shit, though, man, and it bothers me.
Yeah. Damn. I was not. I didn't pick up on him being that smug or that arrogant, I guess. How about the old lady? Maybe old lady cooter?
I don't know, man. She's
no.
I think she kind of hits the manipulative part because I think she was playing them, but to try and get them to take her to the alien. So I think she was kind of manipulative, but in the end it failed. So she wasn't that great at it.
Yeah. She's not really arrogant. She is probably not a sexual deviant.
She might be a little bit pathetic because she's
maybe a little bit
almost begging these kids to take her with her, but
yeah, that's just kind of sad.
It is sad. She misses her son. Damn it! All right,
kicking an old lady while she's down.
Just
that's Bob right there.
Shit out of her.
There's not a whole lot of characters in this movie, so I don't know if we could consider one to be Cooter of the Week.
How about the guy in the car with the girl? When they go up and they're interviewing him, And
Yeah.
I get the strong vibe that was not his wife. I think that they were there. But she's talking about that it wasn't a squirrel, it was a chipmunk that chewed through the wire.
Right.
She did.
Isn't
And
there
at
a
one point-
kid in the back seat though? Don't they have a
Yeah.
kid in the back seat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This
Probably
is
wouldn't
just,
take a kid on yours. Yeah.
this is Daddy's
Side piece
mistress. Yeah, your side piece. This is Miss Jaina, Daddy's
Yeah,
friend.
to the high school basketball game where everybody's gonna be.
Very public. Yeah, waving
Yeah.
to all your neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this has an outright Cooter, man. The aliens, we don't ever see them, so we can really just project
Yeah.
whatever we want onto them.
They snatch up kids. We know that,
Yeah.
sons of bitches.
And they're probably putting stuff in their butts, so sexual deviancy, manipulation.
most likely putting stuff in their
Like
butts.
90%
I don't see
chance.
any other way they couldn't
That's-
put stuff in their butt.
That's right. Aliens love butt play. That's
Also, they are huge like manipulators because they hypnotize people with their crazy language.
right. So that's two. Are
Yeah.
they pathetic?
So butt probes and hypnotizing manipulation.
Yeah. They're
Their
arrogant.
spaceships look pretty dope, so I wouldn't say
Yeah.
attire.
They're arrogant because, they're just like they're fucking with these people, man. If this old lady
They're
is
causing
right,
wars,
yeah,
man.
exactly, for their own entertainment, making people do wild shit. So that's three right
Tons
there.
of bitches.
Aliens are
All right,
critters.
Cooter of the week, aliens with
Nailed
their
it.
butt probes.
Nailed it.
I think we're projecting a little bit.
A little bit, just a touch. Aliens like
Yeah.
big salads too, baby. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Who doesn't like a big
Who
salad?
doesn't like a big salad? Got some
Yeah. Eat healthy.
got some cherry tomatoes on there. You just
God damn.
Crouton.
All right, Bob. Okay.
all right.
Try not to kink shame.
I'm
You're
not.
pushing me to my limit.
Sounds like a you problem, my man. Not me.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. What else are we doing? Oh, it's the social hour. It's time to talk about
Oh, social hour. Let's let our hair down.
what we've
let's-
been watching.
Let's let that mullet down real quick, boys.
Yeah.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Party in the front. Wait, no. Business in the front. Party in the
You fucked
party in the
it up.
front. Party in the back.
It's all party, baby. It's straight chilling. Woo!
Can I cut you guys off Thor, with a little something?
Yeah. Go for it, Michael. What's up, man?
We rolled out our new segment on our show called Double Feature. What would you double feature this movie with?
Oh shit, that's a good question.
Here, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, bump me.
Feature.
There you go.
Oh, don't come on our show and stunt like that with your dope sound clip. What the hell? I don't know, man. War of the Worlds actually. Shit. War of the Worlds sounds like a pretty decent choice, actually, especially because it's like
Yeah.
referenced directly in this movie. Maybe
You kind of want to
Signs?
do like Twilight Zone too, since it's like
Twilight Zone, the movie. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
since it's like directly like kind of playing off of that idea at the beginning.
Yeah. Maybe The Sandlot actually kind of makes sense.
Signs isn't a bad choice because I feel like some of the like suspense and tension that you build with this is maybe deliver a little more in Signs.
Yeah. It's still
A
like
similar kind of vibe.
small town USA,
Yeah.
small cast. Yeah. Signs would fit pretty good. War of the Worlds gets pretty huge, actually. Kind of
Yeah.
a spectacle. That's a pretty good movie, man. Tom Cruise
Stains.
stains, just staining it up. Yeah. I think my final answer is Signs. Go with Signs.
Cool.
Yeah,
Good choice, Bob.
Totally.
Michael, do you have a double feature?
I would probably lean towards The Arrival because we didn't get any kind of alien payoff in this one.
Mm.
And we do get a lot of alien through The Arrival. And I like Charlie Sheen. So I'm going to lean towards The Arrival.
Lean towards the sheen. I like it.
Nice play on words.
I've never seen The Arrival. I need to check it out. Apparently, it's loaded with aliens. Nice. Michael, what have you been
See.
watching, my man?
Oh, good Lord. Well, I have watched Dead Heat. What was it? Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Check that out. I was never a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but after watching that documentary, I felt really bad for Mark Patton, and I feel like I need to give him a hug. So I'm watching to see if he does any conventions at any point in time. I really want to meet him. That was a great documentary. We also watched the Kane Hodder documentary, To Hell and Back.
Yeah.
Watched the Crystal Lake Memories. Just basically did a lot of horror documentaries this week.
Damn, that Crystal Lake Memories is like, what was it, like 4 hours long or something?
Yeah, it was way up there. I think I did the Blu-ray I have is a couple of discs long. So yeah, it's 4+ hours easy.
Nice. Yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff. I really like that Kane Hodder documentary and the Mark Patton documentary, man. Yeah, it's kind of a sad story, but it ends well, I guess as well as it can end. And it seems like he gets a little bit of closure, but it's cool to like get some perspective around the making of that movie, because it's a bit of it's like kind of a question mark, man. It stands out in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise as sort of this oddball. Like, how did they make this movie? How did this come to be with the gay undertones, or was it intended? Was it not? Because it's only in this one movie. Out of the 7, it's only in part 2 for some reason. Like, what's going on there?
Watching that documentary, I couldn't, and haven't seen the movie many times. And before even watching this documentary, seeing that movie, I couldn't help but see those homosexual overtones, the gay subject matter that was in it. I mean, there's even a part where they open the closet, and one of the games is called Probe in the closet. I mean, it was all there. I couldn't imagine that being all coincidental through the entire movie. There's no way. So my wife, on the other hand, we watched it, and she said, hands down, she never once thought that as the movie was going on. And she thinks that, what's his name? The writer is only copping to it now because it's the cool thing to do. It's cool to be part of that and to own up and to be part of that community. And I didn't think so. I thought he intentionally wrote it, realized, oh crap, and then blamed it all on Mark, which is what kind of I felt for Mark through that whole thing. Yeah. That he took the brunt of this when it was in fact intentional, and he paid for it.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would do, to your psyche, to your mental health. You finally reach a point in your career where you're known and you're a star of a film of like a major horror movie franchise, and people are just turning on you, for stuff that was just in the script. You're just doing your job, and I can't imagine, man. It's a hard documentary to watch, but it's definitely worth it. I recommend that too. Juice, what have you been watching?
Dude, nothing really new, honestly. I finally finished that Michael Jordan documentary. I don't know if it's just a Korean Netflix thing where they're releasing these things like pieces at a time. That shit bugs the fuck out of me. I want to watch it now. I want to watch it all.
You damn millennials.
I know they're doing it with they're doing like Rick and Morty episodes, like one at a time per week. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? But I don't think that's going on in the States, so that's why I say that. So it could just be a Korean Netflix thing. I haven't really been watching anything new. I did go back and I was playing Limbo again, which is actually the first game I did for our video game review. So I kind of want to finish it up. It's a pretty short game. I think once I had beaten it originally, I did a gameplay stream where I just played it straight through. And I think it took me less than 2 hours, maybe around 2 hours. So I'm about halfway through now. And man, it's such a beautiful, but also haunting game. The art design in that is fantastic, and I'm curious, once I'm done, I want to go back and see. I don't remember what rating I gave the game, but it was the first video game review I did, so I'm curious to go back once I finish it and see what I thought of it the first time through. So but yeah, if you've never played that, definitely check it out. It's a beautiful game. It's all black and white and grays, and it's almost got that kind of like old school like Donkey Kong thing where it's like it's a side scroller, but the background looks kind of like interactive and like painted or whatever. Or like it just like looks like a really in-depth background, and it's just it's a really cool game in general. But that's about it, really. Nothing really new.
Cool.
Yeah. Bob,
Yo.
You been watching something? Tell me all about it.
A little bit.
I'm curious. I want to know what you've been watching.
This week, I really haven't had a chance to watch a whole lot, man. I started rewatching Atlanta, Donald Glover's show on FX, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah, I watched it, when it first aired, and I really enjoyed it, and just sort of got a wild hair to work back through it. I watched like the first episode, and it's great. I'm excited to work through that again. And I also watched the other movie we're thinking about reviewing on the show called Swallow. Came out this year.
Swaller.
Yeah, Swaller. It's about this woman who marries into a really wealthy family, and she gets pregnant. And there's apparently this sort of like syndrome that some pregnant women come down with. It's called PICA, P-I-C-A, in which it's like an eating disorder where they just want to swallow items that you shouldn't swallow, like metal objects and marbles and just like random.
Sounds insane.
Random stuff. So I'd never heard of that like disorder before, but this movie sort of plays with that. And you sort of, as the film progresses, you get a better sense of this family and of this woman's new husband, and you find out more about her background and her upbringing and how she didn't come from much, and she's in this big, beautiful home that essentially turns into like a prison cell for her, and it just she swallows items that are more and more dangerous as the movie progresses, and it gets
That's why I didn't like. In the trailer, it kind of hinted that, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like painful."
It gets pretty tense, man. It's not.
Oh my god!
If themes of difficult pregnancy bothers you in any way, don't watch this movie. It's not a light watch. It's not a light watch. That's for sure.
All right,
but I enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. It's solid movie. Check out Swaller. I think it's just on VOD anywhere. So, get it on Amazon, iTunes, what have you. Check it out. That's really all I've had a chance to watch. So that's going to do it for what we've been watching. We got one more segment this week. Let's jump over into our Hotline Scream segment. If you are currently listening and you'd like to call and leave us a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We have 4 voicemails this week.
We asked a lot of questions last week. A lot of questions about mailmen and mailmangs and mailwomangs.
Mailwomangs. Most of them got answered. So that's cool.
Yeah, I just realized too, since I'm running the bumps, we don't have a bump for Hotline Scream. God.
Right, yeah.
We are the sorriest piece of crap cast I've ever heard in my life.
Something I've been working on.
I could play the one for mine if you want. It doesn't mention it. We can use it.
That's Hotline Scream.
That was a great scream.
All right, Bob, just cut that, and then next week we'll have a bump.
It's so good. It's so good.
It should go like Hotline.
That's how it should go. Thanks.
Yep. All right. That's our new bump. All right.
Let's jump into these voicemails. I believe the first 2 we got here from Mailman Jose, I believe. Let's go ahead. Let's hear what the USPS is up to these days.
Let's hear what we got.
Hey, what's up, guys? I thoroughly enjoyed this last episode, especially the phone call part. To answer your question your questions about being a mailman, first, the weirdest thing that I've ever delivered was urn with ashes of a cremated body inside. It was a piece of express mail, obviously, because I guess the family wanted their remains quick. And when I delivered it, I was like, sorry for your loss. He was like, yeah, I get it. As for your dog question, we have dog spray. It's kind of like a dog pepper spray type situation. I never had to use it before. The mailman's lifestyle is hectic. It's not as easy as it looks. Long hours, long days. You can't really make plans all that much because you could be at work for 8 hours or you could be at work for 12 hours any given day. It's pretty fast to get used to driving on the right side instead of the left side of the car. Probably took me like a day to get used to it. Yeah. I forgot all the other questions. If you have a date on a night that you're working really long, you're probably going to be wearing your postal outfit to your date because unless you stop at your house first, but you get the point. It's like when it's a long day, it's a long day. So, and especially with COVID and all that stuff, we've been getting hammered with packages and stuff from Amazon. All right. Well, I hope that answered a lot of your questions. Thanks, guys, and keep doing what y'all doing. Yeah, keep chilling. Peace.
Oh, sorry. I think I cut him off there. Oh, well. I think it's a piece. All right. There's one more.
Jump into part 2 real quick.
Part deuce.
Forgot one important thing, previous things that a male person can deliver. They could deliver chicks, like little baby chickens. And it's adorable, but at the same time, I can just imagine the fear that's going through them. Because in the office, all you hear is pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew. And they're probably screaming for like their parents or whatever. Oh well. And the most frightening thing that I think a carrier could deliver is bees. Because people order bees, especially like around here. I deliver in a rich part of Connecticut. And some people have their own companies or whatever. They work from home making honey. And they deliver like 5 boxes of bees. So I can imagine somebody's nightmare come true of trying to deliver some bees, and then they like take a sharp turn and the box of bees just opens up from the drop and just fucking go crazy. But yeah, man, I like that there's gonna be an available opening for You Pick the Flick. A few. I think I might put one in this time around. But all right, thank you guys so much for doing what y'all do. Love y'all. Keep chilling.
All right. Bob, I think you forgot to mention that in the housekeeping. Ooh, thanks for coming through on the hotline. Ah!
God. Yeah. So if you have been wanting to pick a movie for us to review, we're going to be reopening the You Pick the Flick tier over on our Patreon website a week from today. That is going to be Sunday, June 21st at noon Eastern Standard Time. There's only 5 spots available for the third quarter of 2020. So make sure you set your clocks, jump on, grab one of those spots before they run out. They tend to run out fairly quickly. This is the only way for you to outright pick a movie for us to review. So jump on it. I always get excited.
When is that opening, Bob?
A week from today, which is going to be Sunday, June 21st at noon Eastern Standard Time. Father's Day. All right. Treat yourself.
Woo, treat yourself. Little did
Michael, you don't
little did
Set your
Little
alarm.
did Michael know this was a trap episode because we have a strict policy that if you've been featured on the Straight Film podcast, you cannot pick a film. It's just a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Our hands are tied.
Sorry.
There's nothing we could do.
Sorry, man.
We talked to corporate, corporate straight chilling, and they shut it down. So
I hope you guys like Deathbed, the bed that eats, because that's what you get next.
So don't sleep in, G baby.
G baby.
Deliver.
That's right. Get on there.
Speaking of G baby.
Well, thanks for calling in, Jose. Thanks for answering all of our questions. It did blow my mind a little bit that male people delivered chickens and bees. Like that seems very strange.
I couldn't understand why he was scared of beads, though. Who cares if you tip over some beads?
No. Bees.
Depends on the bees.
Beads?
No, boxes of bees.
I know.
For honey. I know you know. We're doing a thing. Yeah, that's pretty nuts, man.
Live. I didn't think you could mail live creatures, but my coworker orders ladybugs all the time.
All the time?
Why?
All the time. She's got,
What is he doing?
She set some free in her yard to, I guess, keep other insects away, and she just ordered a bunch of praying mantises as well. So I guess insects are free. You can order those no problem. They mail them to you.
Chickens seem weird. Like that's really weird.
Yeah, they shit. They're just shitting in your box.
Yeah, like insects are fine because like you can wrap them up in a package, like that's whatever. But
you can just throw it around. It's no problem.
You can just kick it,
Whatever.
But chickens, I don't know. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, they're just shitting everywhere, man. I don't want chicken shit on my mail is what I'm trying to say. I'm not into it.
I don't want beads on my mail, okay?
Bees.
This isn't the glitter hour over here, okay? We're not crafting.
The glitter hour? What is that from? Social.
All right.
Yeah, we got a couple from G Baby. G Baby tells a wild story, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah. All right. To all the male mangs out there, let's hear what Shaboy G Baby has to say.
Shaboy.
Hello. Shout out to my boy Randy there. I just finished Twin Peaks. So that's a Dougie Cooper impersonation. Let's be real. I'm pretty rip-assed right now in order to tell the story. So bear with me. This might cut into two messages, but let's see. So, yo, what's up, Gentle Mangs and now Will Mangs? Thanks to Soju. I see you, baby. It's G Baby, and I got a female Cooter story for y'all. So pony up around the campfire. I'll leave it to Bobby Jarvis to vet whether this is couth or not to air. So this takes place, as I prefaced in our Slack channel, in the year of our Lord 2006, when your boy G Baby was just a young lad, the ripe age of 21, and when your boy Soju was just being born, in fact, because he's so young. So this was my second or third official trip to the bar with a group of college buddies, one of which was like an 8th year Van Wilder type senior. So I'll call him Van Wilder for anonymity. And so we go to the bar. This woman approaches us and has apparently been acquainted with Van Wilder previously. And she hones in right in on me to set up to, she's not a particularly attractive woman. Mind you, I'm not anything to write home about, so I'm not passing judgment or anything. I'm just stating facts here. Anywho, so she's like a rugged country cowgirl lass. As far as I could tell, she was either 28 or 39. I never did find out. But anyway, she takes a liking to me. I'm fresh off a breakup with my ex of 2 years, so Van Wilder's like cheering me on, like go for it. So to the Cooter portion breakdown. This gal has prominent whale tail, lower back tattoo, cowboy hat, and is hanging a fatty dip. Yes, hanging chaws, which, I mean, if I'm being real, that really didn't bother me. But anyway, so picture that. She sidles herself up next to me. She's just chatting me up while I'm knocking down shots, slugging brews, all that. So off the bat, she's got a tire and snug air getting checked. Then she's like, hey, I got a joint. Let's go in the back and smoke it.
End part one.
And part one. Ooh, really set us up.
Man. Let's jump into it. Yeah.
Take me home, G baby. What we got?
Yep. No. Okay. So this is the second part. Stay tuned because it's worth it. Where we leave off. Okay. She's like, yeah, I got a joint. Let's go in the back and smoke it. I'm like, yes, let's do that. So we did that. Boom. Another Cooter markdown. Manipulation. Finally, and this is grand finale, where she hits all 4 points of the Cooter scale. We come back to the bar where everyone is. She sits on my lap and whispers in my ear, I got a tattoo of a seashell on my inner thigh. You press your ear to it and you can smell the ocean. I shit you not. So, gang, female cowgirl Cooter, or not, you be the judge. All right, then keep chilling, gang.
My cheeks hurt. My cheeks hurt. I love that he says she's hanging a fatty dip. And then he's like, if I'm being real, it didn't bother me.
Didn't bother him, you know?
I love that. Fucking 1-2 punch. That is a wild story.
If you put your ear to the seashell, you can smell the ocean, Bob. Woo. What a fine lady.
Oh man, she is just a smooth talker. Now, what G Baby didn't go on to say is that he absolutely went home with that woman. He smelled the ocean all night long. If you know what I'm saying.
No shame.
No, she's hanging a fatty dip.
If the dip didn't bother him, that boy went home with that one. There's no doubt in my mind. Wait, is G Baby a mailman too? I couldn't remember.
No, he's not.
No, okay, he's not. We've got a couple. I can't match up everybody's professions.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I forget exactly what G Baby does. Call in and tell us exactly who you work for. Who's your employer, G Baby? What your position is? Your superior's direct contact information, your home address, social security number, credit card number, all that information. Please get back to us with that. Thank you. Yeah, that shit's hilarious. Thank you for sharing. G Baby shares wild stories with us on occasion, and I get a massive kick out of them. Thank you. Oh man. Again, if you're listening, you want to call in, leave us a voicemail, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. You boys have any questions you want to pose for this week?
I don't think so.
I didn't prep for that.
Yeah. I don't have anything offhand other than if you have any stories with I don't know, like seeing UFOs.
Tell some more alien stories. Yeah. We got a couple back in the day around Halloween. People called in with their spooky stories. Those were dope.
Yeah, last year. If you have any alien encounters, if you've ever seen something crazy in the sky, if you've ever had a gray invade your anus, call in.
Yeah, if you ever woke up with something weird in your butt, let us know.
Yeah, 904-638-3231. Three times.
All right. Call in and tell us about it, Michael.
Have you guys had that? Have you been anally probed, but have you had any alien or UFO encounters?
I thought I had one when I was a kid, but I don't talk about it.
I haven't really, no, not to speak of. Have you, Michael? Nothing?
I have, actually.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I take it with a grain of salt, but I used to go spend the summers with my nephew. My nephew and I are the same age. Long story. Anyway, my nephew and I are the same age. And I used to go out to his house out in St. Cloud for the summer. He had a house right on the lake. And we'd go out and lay on the end of the dock at night. And one night, this, lack of a better term, a UFO went flying over. And it was a triangle with the points cut off and the center part kind of hollowed out. So it was, if you can kind of imagine what that would look like, that went flying over, absolutely no sound whatsoever. And then I'd say maybe a minute later, 3 jets went flying over in the same direction after it. And that was it. I mean, it was a little weird. But it's something I know I've seen and I'm proud of it and never heard anything else like that but since.
That's wild, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing.
That's cool. Damn. Yeah.
They're out there.
Yeah. So if now that this is going to be out there on cyberspace, if you don't hear from me again, you know
we're all going to vanish.
They're coming to get them.
Yep. You're going to find Michael's baseball cap just sitting on top of a pile of ash. That's sorry to say.
A pile of ass. Is that what you said?
Just a thick pile of ass.
A big old pile of ass.
That ass is hanging a fatty dip, no doubt.
With those beads.
Bees, damn it. Yeah, call in, let us know. Let us know if you've seen aliens. That's going to do it for us this week at Street Chilling. We'll be back next week with a brand new show. We're going to be talking about a movie from 1977 called Martin. This is directed by George A. Romero and is chosen by me. It's a movie I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while. Thanks, man. I'm excited.
Thanks for supporting us on Patreon, Bob.
Hey, no doubt. No doubt. Hey, you had a staff pick. Randy had a staff pick.
I know.
Now it's Bob's turn.
Oh, Bob. Here we go.
First time in a while. Michael, again, big thanks for joining us this week, man. And you want to remind everybody where they can find your show at?
Certainly, wherever you can find quality podcasts like Straight Chilling Podcast, you can also find us for some reason. We are available on all the major platforms. We have a YouTube channel that we just don't keep up with. Mostly, we're pretty active on Facebook, though. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that at Horror Apocalypse Podcast, HORRO Apocalypse. No extra R like Randy goes to add every so often. So,
nice. Apocalypse.
I want to thank you guys too so much for having me on. I really appreciate that, and I was very happy and very excited to be invited. So thank you so much.
Oh yeah, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks. So yeah, until next week, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. Send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on our Slack channel, just hit us up on any one of our social media outlets. I'll send you a link to join in on the Slack channel. Daily conversations. We talk about the movie of the week, TV shows, music, topics, random topics, whatever comes up. We are chatting all the time.
Soap and shampoo and shoes and everything.
That's true. That's actually body wash, whatever comes up. Hang out with us on Friday for our Joe Bob Live Watch. Check us out on YouTube. All the things. Call in. Tell us about your alien experiences. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.